Good morning, guys. I can see a few of you have joined. We're expecting a few more attendees. So just give me a couple of minutes. We'll wait for them to join. Otherwise, we'll start in a couple of minutes' time. So just wait for 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay, good morning, guys. Thank you for taking the time to join this session. I will soon be passing to my colleague, Alexi, who will start to share his screen and start the session. The session today is a tutorial of how you can build a finance dashboard from your SAP Business One data. And the product that we'll be using to demonstrate that is our product, which is ZAP, which is a data management and BI tool. And we've got a lot of pre-built content that we've developed for SAP Business One, which means there's huge amounts of acceleration here. If you were to choose a product like this, you could be ready with a lot of these reports in literally half a day. So without further ado, let me pass you to my colleague, Alexi. Alexi, I can see your screen. Over to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rohit. All right, guys, thank you so much for making the time to actually come and see what I'm going to show you today. So the topic of today's webinar is basically how can you actually take and create your own sort of personalized dashboard. Now, within ZAP in our solution for SAP Business One, we have multiple different dashboards for the different personas within the business. So today I'm actually going to focus around finance, and let's go into finance. When we look at finance, we can see that we make this up. We've got accounts payable, we've got accounts receivable, and then we have some stuff in the general ledger. But what I want to do is I actually want to go into the CFO dashboard first of all. And what I would like to do is, yes, this is a beautiful dashboard. I'm getting all the information I want. But now, let's say, for example, we've got a different person within the business, and they want a customized dashboard for the stuff that they actually want to see and the stuff that they actually use on a day-to-day basis. So how I'm going to show you today is how easy it is to actually go and take these dashboards and go and create your own personalized dashboard with some some KPIs that make sense to that specific person. So for now, I've actually created a folder on the left-hand side here called Web Reports, and that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to actually go and save certain reports now, and I'm going to edit them and put them into that specific folder. And then from there, we're going to end it off where we're going to create our own dashboard with these KPIs. So one of the first things is I'm going to have a look at my gross margin over time, and I'm going to click on the three dots here, and it's going to say, do I want to open up this with the filters applied? So these are with the certain slices that we actually use within the dashboard. I actually want to use this without the filters because I'm going to edit this and I'm going to add it into a new dashboard for that particular person. So from here, I'm going to click on Open Gross Margin Over Time. Now, as you can see with the gross margin over time, this is now based on my different fiscal calendar, for example. So I'm going to go click on the designer here, and I want to change this. I want to actually make this a little bit more intuitive. So I'm going to click on periods 2 here, and you can see that it's showing me the count of 12 months. I want to go and actually say, I'm going to take that away. I'm going to throw that in the recycle bin, and I actually want to go and say, for this particular dashboard, or for this particular report, I actually want to go down and I'm just going to right click and I'm going to go down to my parameterization, and I'm going to say number input. Now, from there, we can go and say this can be a spin box. I want to say minimum will be 1, maximum will be 12, and I think the default value can be maybe 6 months. So I'm going to click on apply and apply again. Now what you will actually see as what it's happening is it's actually giving me a number input, and I can easily go and say give me 5 months, and you'll see that now things start updating just based on that. So this is going to be one of the reports I'm going to put into my dashboard, where I can actually go and choose how many months I would like to see that data for. So from there, I'm going to go and save it as, and I'm going to save it as in this particular folder that I'm going to be using. So from there, I'm going to go that specific folder, and I'm going to save it. Once I've saved it, I can actually close that report. I'm done with that now. Maybe there's another one I'd like to look at, maybe my operating profit over time. That's going to probably be something I'm going to be using. So from there, I'm going to go and say, open up that one. And from there, I can go and have a look and see. In fact, I like everything that sits in here. For example, I'm going to use this just as it is, and I'm going to save that also into my folder. So from there, we're going to go to my web reports folder. And it's really that easy. Basically, we're just going and we're choosing out of the different dashboards, the different reports that we want. So maybe I'm going to go from here. Let's go have a look at my income statement. So from here, I'm going into my income statement dashboard. This is something, this is going to be, let's have a look at what this looks like. So yeah, definitely, I want to see maybe my profit share analysis of net sales. So I'm going to actually go and save that. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to keep it pretty much the same as it is. And from there, I'm going to save that to the same folder. So from there, we go to great. So there we go. We've got at least some information that we can actually use. In fact, what I want to do is actually let's go look at maybe our expenses as well. So I'm going to look at maybe, yeah, my expense group breakdown. And we're going to go to general ledger. And we can go to our expense dashboard. Yeah, I think I'm going to take that. That's definitely going to be something I'm going to use. So from here, I can see this is all the information I want to see. And again, it's really as easy as just saving it to a place. I can give it a new name that's going to make sense for that particular person. So from here, we can go and add it to my reports folder. And there we go. So I'm going to close these. And we can start closing these up now. So I've actually created all the reports I wanted. I can start now going and saying, let me have a look at a new dashboard. So I can go create a new dashboard. And from there, I can start literally just dragging on all the different reports I want to see. So I'm going to go and add my performance card here, for example. I'm going to then move and have a gross margin over time, and we'll put that in maybe in the bottom here. And you can see that it's now starting to, and I can start just moving it around. I can also look at my expense, maybe put something like that there. We want to look at our profit share analysis of over there. And then we want to look at maybe our operating profit, yeah. Now, obviously, we still need to go and add some extra information here. So we can go and now start looking at our dimension tree, and we can then start going adding like our slices. So we can go and say, give me the companies, for example. So I want to see this by my particular companies. We can go look at a specific date. So I'm going to just expand the date here, for example. And then I'm just going to go with some, unfortunately with my sample data, I'll just use a date that actually has some information in. And that's great. Now, one of the things obviously is with all these reports, we have what we call a times, because now we actually want to use our time, the time context that we actually bring in, because we want to actually now say with these reports, they need to refer to what we call a time context. So I've just changed it now. And if I go and select the date now, you'll see that everything starts looking a little bit better, and it's going to start giving me that information. Now, I can then go and add maybe a specific title. So let's go to home, and I'm going to call this, for example, Joe's financial dashboard. Oh, I actually would like to give that a bit. Let me go and edit that a little bit more. So let's edit that title. And from there, we actually want this to be centered. We can give it a nice text, nice, and just give it something like that. And then from there, we can just adjust our spacing. And now, basically, that dashboard is pretty much looking pretty good. I can actually go and save that, but just have a look at something like this now. So for example, if I go and change these numbers, you'll see that now everything starts just updating based on what I'm selecting over here. The rest of it obviously is looking at our slices that we're using. But if I go and say, for example, let's have a look at the previous month, you'll see that everything starts updating. All the dashboards start updating. I can look at now with the company slices that I've put in, I can look at this by specific companies. So for example, I'm just going to go and select these particular companies, and you'll see that now I can start seeing these figures just based on the slices that I'm actually using. All right, so really we've made it really simple to be able to go and actually edit and change certain dashboards the way you want to. So I'm going to just go and save this in my web reports folder, and just find that folder, and I'm going to call this Joe's dashboard. Now we can also do certain things like, for example, if I go and select my slicer tool, so we've got an inner slicer, I'm going to go and also select my operating profit over time. So if I select that away, and the minute I click on something, and that was not actually a good example. Let me try that again. Okay, we'll just leave that one for now. Okay, so from there, my report has actually been created. And now, as that particular person, I'm going to just save this. They would actually go into what we call our consumer mode. So I'm going to do this now from here. So when you go in, you have what we call our consumer view. And essentially, they'll get into their dashboard. And they'll now be able to actually go and either add it as a favorite. They can start looking at all these numbers. So for example, they can go and change their number input to, let's say, 12 months. and you see that it'll update just based on that. They can then also start looking at like going and drilling into that information. So for that particular month, where the net sales come through from, so they can actually go and actually use that. And then from there, they can move obviously back to where they wanted to be. Or they can actually go and create a drill through. So let's have a look at what the drill through looks like. In fact, this one actually at this moment in time is not giving me the drill through function. So we'll have a look at maybe creating an extra report here that we can use for the drill through. So I'm going to move back to that. And in fact, we'll add another report. So I would like to actually, for that particular purpose, I'm going to go back to my CFO dashboard. I want to go and add in maybe my AR dashboard. So from there, I'm going to go and actually add that in. Maybe that's something that I need in here. And with this in mind, I'm going to go there and save as. And we'll have a look. So let's go to my web reporting folder. Okay, so that should be saved. I'm going to go back to my Joe's dashboard. In fact, what we'll do is we'll go now and we'll actually take that particular report that we've created. So that was the AR circular gauge, and I can actually go and put that over here. So from there, we can actually go and space it out a little bit differently. And once I've saved this, and I go back into my consumer mode and I just refresh the screen, we can actually see now that specific report that we've added. Now for that particular one, if I want to go in and say, let's actually see what's actually made up of that 25 million, once I go into that particular report, I can see all the different transactions now that come through for that. From there, I can actually see the numbers. I can see the different information, so from the different companies, and I also have now the ability to export this to either a CSV, a PDF, or an Excel document. So I just want to ask quickly, Rohit, are there any questions that are posted on the chat? And if you have any questions, please can you post them on the chat?
Yeah, I'm just checking, Alexi. Right now, there aren't any. But yes, I will recommend everybody who has a question, just post it on the chat. And towards the end, we will review and try and answer these questions to the best of our ability. Thanks, Alexi.
Cool. All right. So from there, my report's actually been created, and we've now got a dashboard that Joe can use for their particular work that they can actually do. So I'm going to ask if anyone can quickly, well, if they have any questions, if they can post it onto the chat, or if there's anything that they want me to just go through once again. I know it could have been a bit fast, but I'm definitely here to show you this again if you need to see that.
I think, Alexi, what you can do is, if you want to just spend 5-10 minutes on the back-end side, just so people can understand why is it so easy to build these reports from SAP Business One? What have we done on the back end, which makes it easy through the dimension tree to build simple or advanced reports from your SAP B1 data? Can you spend 5-10 minutes on that, please?
Yeah, definitely, sure. Okay, so if we go back into my designer mode, I'm going to open up our SAP Business One model. So as you can see, for example, I've got my finance, my inventory, my manufacturing, procurement, and sales. And then in the back end, what we do is we actually connect to your SAP B1. We build a data management model. So basically where we have some pipelines, those certain pipelines will have relationships. So we've got our different pipelines. So out of the box, when we connect to your SAP B1, SAP Business One, we have 91 different pipelines that will come through into the model, and we apply a logic that basically gives you this out-of-the-box feel with all these reports. This is obviously, you can still go and edit and change the way that you would like to see the model, and it's quite flexible from that side. So from there, if I open up the pipelines, you can see there's a lot of information that comes through. Now we have these different table names that sit within SAP Business One, and we transform them into what we call a plain English state. It's really important when it comes to things like that, because then when you're creating a model or when you're creating a report, you understand exactly where the data is actually coming from and where to find the data. So we try and, especially when it comes to creating reports, we want you guys to be able to be self-sufficient and be able to write your own reports. So as you can see, for example, we've got what we call pipelines, and then we break this down into certain measures and dimensions. Measures basically being the end result numbers, like your net sales amount, like your actual amount, any of those numbers, anything that sort of would change quite frequently. And then we look at then the other pipelines, what we call dimensions. Now, with these dimensions, they have a relationship with your certain measures. So that gives us the ability to now start slicing and dicing the data, whether it be by company, by sales rep, by accounts, all those types of things. So from there, we've actually built this in, and we take all this data. This is what we call an ETL process. We take the data out of your source data, we put it into a data warehouse, and then we will then process it into a cube that gives you that ability to actually see the reports that you're seeing right now. So from here, as you can see, we have quite a bit of work and we do all the heavy lifting for you. So if I go and I open up and I want to create a new report, I'm going to use it, for example, a sales report. And I'm just waiting for my screen to update here. You'll see, for example, so if I expand my measures, these are all the different end result numbers that I've got, for example. So let's look at maybe like something like a sales report. So I've got obviously accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger, and then maybe we'll look at like sales invoice lines. So from there, I can actually go and say, give me my net sales invoice line amount, and it's really as easy as point and click and drag and drop. That's going to give me my net sales invoice line amount number. Then from there, if I let's just do one more. So we also want to look at our cost of sale amount, and in fact, I also want to do my gross profit amount. Once I refresh this cube, you'll see these are all the dimensions that actually relate to these measures. What that means is basically that is what I've got to use for my report. If there's any other information that you want, we can basically go into the back end. You create the relationship with that data, and that'll be available now for you in this report. So this is really a blank canvas now to actually start creating your own style reports, for example. So from here, I've got my net sales invoice line amount, I've got my cost of sale amount, and I've got my gross profit amount. Now I want to just test this and just check that that is really my gross profit amount. And if I hover over a blank spot here, you'll see that I've got different icons. One is a calculation, so one's a name set and one's a function. So we want to look at maybe a calculation. And I'm going to call this GP, and this is going to be basically, and I can literally point and I can drag all the measures I want in there. So I can drag that into my formula and say less my cost of sale amount. So once I've done that, I can click on apply, and you'll see that I have now the same amount. So for instance, now I know that that is exactly the same as what my calculation is. So from there, I'm going to actually drag that out because I'm going to keep my calculation. And I want to go and do one more, which is going to be my gross profit percentage. So from there, I'm going to go into my calculation, my custom formula, and this is going to be my GP percentage. And I'm going to say that the previous calculation I had, the GP divided by my net sales invoice line amount, that should give me my GP percentage. Now that number doesn't look too good. I'm going to just go and get that in the right format. So I'm going to go up to my table here and just change it into a percentage. Very, very similar to when you do how you do it in Excel, for example. So this is very much, if you're able to write reports within Excel, you should be very, very easily be able to write the reports within here. Now that we've got our measures, I can then start looking at this either by, let's go and have a look at maybe my customer, and I can go and literally go to my customer dimension and pick up that attribute. And now I can see all this by customer. Maybe I'm going to go and look at maybe items. So I can actually go and see, for example, what items those customers bought. And I can literally just drag that underneath my customers. So from there, I can see now customer, and then I can see now the items that those customers bought. But this is now obviously a total to date. And we want to go and add a date slicer to this. So from here, I'm going to go to my fiscal calendar. We've got some date relationships that we've created here. And we want to go look at this now by, and I'm going to just go and, just drag the whole month into my slices so that it gives me that ability now to choose which date I actually want to look at. So we want to go look at it by, let's go and say something that's relevant to me. And I can actually see this now quite easily. I actually want to use this in a dashboard. And for this particular example, I'm going to take these out. So I'm going to go and say, I actually want to see this by sales over time. So I'm going to go and just change this around, and I'm going to go say, give me my month in my rows, and I'm going to go change my slicer to give me my years, and we actually want to see what our sales over time is. So immediately just doing that, you can see now month by month what my sales were, my cost of sales, my gross profit, and my gross profit percentage. This could be easily, if I go to view and say chart, this could be easily now changed into a chart that we can actually put into our dashboard. So from here, I'm going to go and just expand this a little bit. And I can actually go and say, I don't want to see the table anymore. I want to use this as my end result. And I'm going to go and say my cost of sales and my gross profit. Let's have a look at that in something that looks something like that. So we can start now really tidying it up and making it a bit more slick. And we're going to say something like that. In fact, gross profit doesn't really tie in with these numbers, so I'm going to give this a new axis, for example. And that looks a little bit better. And from the axes as well, I want that to be a percentage. And that's starting to look a lot better for me now. Now, one of the other things is if we want to change, I'm going to leave this as is, but we can go and obviously edit and change it the way I did with the net sales over time report was. So I'm going to go and save this now. And actually, one of the things I want to just do here is actually just clean it up. Let's get rid of some of these lines, just to make it look really nice. And actually, one other thing, I want to give this a title, and I'm going to call this sales over time. That's all right. Okay, and choose a nice font. Maybe give it a nice size, maybe like something like that. That's perfect. So there we go. That's my, and maybe I also would, in fact, I'm going to take this, leave that in, that's fine. So from there, I'm going to go into my, let's just save that, go back into Joe's dashboard. Ooh, I'm still saving it. Okay, let me just save it for a second. So now when I can close that. Let's just get rid of that. We can look at Joe's dashboard. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and bring it in. So let me just get it. Where is my report? There we go. Sales over time. And in fact, where do I want to put this? I'm going to put it maybe over here. And we can just start arranging this a little bit better. I would like to actually change this a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my sales over time. Just get the, I can basically go into it. And one of the things I would like to do is just change with my legends. In fact, yeah, let's put that on the bottom. That's for me some enough. Save, go back into my dashboard, and I can basically refresh my dashboard. And as you can see, there's now my sales over time for those particular years. Great. So, Raid, anything else from your side? Are there any
No,
questions?
I think that was all good. Thank you, Alexi. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to just look at the no questions on the chat or the question area on this, but let's wait for a couple of minutes, Alexi.
Sure.
Let's see if we have any questions which we can answer. But thank you for that. That all looks really good. So let's just wait for a few minutes to see if somebody has any questions. If you have, guys, please put it on the chat and I'll pick it up from there.
So, right, I think there's one question here where someone's asking, can this be put into a report pack? So I'm going to quickly just show that.
Thank you.
Okay, so from here, I'm going to actually just save this Joe's dashboard. And let's have a look at now maybe taking a report like this and maybe a couple of other reports and seeing how do we actually go and add this into a report pack that can be sent out, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. All right, so from there I've saved that. I'm going to go and say new, and I'm going to go and choose a report pack. So from there, I can go and add a table of contents, and I'm just going to click on that. All right, and then from there, I'm going to go and actually say, for example, I'm going to use a Joe's dashboard, and I'm going to actually drag that in, just literally just drag it in as a drag the resource in. And from there, so we've got that. I'm going to just put a couple of these, just for the sake of showing. I'm going to just drag a couple of these reports I've created individually and put them in as the report pack as well. So from there, I'm going to go say operating profit over time. Then I've got obviously my slices. So slices being, I can obviously look at it by the, my date, company, any one of those dimensions that we've actually got here. I can actually bring those in. I also have the option of repeating by. So for example, if I have maybe 3 or 4 companies and I actually want to repeat this report pack by those particular companies, I can actually choose to use something like that. So it's really as easy as dragging and dropping the report that you want. And from there, I can actually go and save it, and it will then be a report pack, which can then be put into what we call a publication rule. And that will then, what it will do is it will automatically email that out into a PDF format to that specific audience. Now, if I click on home and I click on print preview right now, what you'll actually see what it's doing is it's taking all those reports that I've put in, and it's now it's converting it into into a PDF that can now be sent out, obviously, to certain executives or certain personas within the business, and this can be automated quite easily. So as you can see, my table of contents, it shows me my Joe's dashboard, and then obviously the other reports. So you'll see now, for example, that there's one of my dashboards. There's, for example, one of those reports that were in the dashboard, and that's basically it. So from there, I'm actually going to just show you an example of what a report pack can actually look like. So from here, I'm going to go and say let's download it. This is one of the ones that I've done in a PDF format. And if I open that, I need to share my application. So I'm just going to unshare and share again. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, it's going to be something like that. Okay. All right. Rod, can you see my screen?
Yes, but it shows an error at the moment. So
okay.
Yeah, the download. Exactly.
All right, so I'm just opening up this PDF. And once I open it up now, you can see this is just an example. So for example, there's one of the dashboards. There's another dashboard. There's a third dashboard. There's my income statement as well. So this can be include. You can even include a picture, for example. And what we've done is we've actually got certain text that actually gets updated every single time that this will get sent out. So you know that when the report pack actually gets sent out, it's giving you those latest numbers that you actually want. And then obviously there's just a couple of other dashboards, and then we end it off there. All right. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Alexi, I'll take this one. So
sure.
Thank you for that, Alexi. So I've got a question around the actual training about the product, and this question was raised by Franklin, and the question is, thank you for the presentation. It looks simple, but I believe has a lot needs to be learned by the IT admins. And I think the answer is yes and no. So there are two essentially parts to the product. One is report designing and sharing and building reports and report packs and so on and so forth. And the other is data modeling. So for report designing, you don't need to be technical at all. That is all straightforward, drag and drop, point and click. And essentially what you're doing there is you're working off a cube or view of the information, which is in plain English with dimensions and measures. So as long as the information is on the cube, theoretically, you should be able to build simple and advanced reports. That training, you can be ready literally within 20 to 40 hours of training. We talk in hours, we don't talk in weeks, months, years. We're not talking about ERP implementations here. This is very quick. So 20 to 40 hours or 2 to 5 days, you should be able to do the report designing element in terms of understanding what the functionality is. You don't need to be technical at all to use that piece. So that's the report designing of how to build reports of your SAP data. So that's one non-technical, easy 20 to 40 hours. You can learn a lot and start building and using that. The second piece is data modeling. Data modeling refers to working through tables, structures, relationships in the backend, which are all related to SAP Business One. And that piece or the output from that end is bringing information into the cube. So that could be a column, that could be a customized column, irrespective of where the information is in SAP. Uh, to have the ability to bring that into the cube so people can use that onto that reports. That piece, yes, is a little technical, but not so much on the product. I mean, the product is built, and you've seen the usability. The product is built for you to not code on the product, for you to use it as is. But where you need the technical ability is in the understanding of SAP tables and the relationships it has with the SAP tables. We've done a lot of work, like Alexi demonstrated. There were about 93 tables or core tables in SAP, and we worked through all functions, so sales, purchasing, inventory, finance, and manufacturing, all modules. So all of them, and within that, we have transformed core tables in each of those. So 10 to 15 tables in each function or module within SAP, and turned them into plain English and built the relationships and everything. So a lot of it is already ready. If you understand the concept, you should be able to use that as is. The cube is also pre-built and ready to go. So you should be able to use it. The actual technical aspect is if you want to bring a column or a table into the warehouse and from the warehouse into the cube, how do you do that? That step is again all straightforward, nothing to do about IT coding there, but you will need to understand how the concepts of a table, a structure, a relationship works. Those elements are important. So slight element of IT there, yes, I do agree. But in terms of report designing and building, nothing stopping you. So in our world, we have two types of customers. One who asks SAP to put information onto the cube, and from the cube, they build whatever report they want. So they are very self-sufficient. And the other, where they have some level of IT skill, rather some level of understanding on table structures, relationships on their ERP information, in this case, SAP Business One, and then they take ownership of the whole product. So it's horses for courses, and happy to review with you individually what best would suit your requirement. But none of this is complicated. Over a course of, say, another 40-hour or 80-hour training exercise on the data modeling side, you can learn so much more and build things on your own from start, not just from the cube. So all can be provided. Great. I'm just conscious of time. There don't seem to be any other questions. So I'm going to close this. Oh, just something came in. Sorry, will this work? Yes. So the question is, does ZAP work with both SQL and HANA platforms? And that is correct. We do work with both SQL and HANA. We support from version 9.1 upwards. So any version up until 10, I think 10 is the current version, or if there is a new version that comes out later on, we will be supporting that. So we support from 9.1 upwards and any new versions that will be coming out from SAP Business One. I see somebody has raised a hand. I mean, would you like to put that in the question? I can wait a couple of minutes. Unless Yeah, yes. So the question is, will the presentation be saved and can we access it if we want to refer to? Absolutely. So at the end of at the close of today or tomorrow, you will receive an email. This session has been recorded, so it will be posted on our website and you will have the link to access that information. Great. Thank you. I think that's all from us, everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time to look at ZAP. I know it's only 45 minutes. I'm sure there might be a lot more questions, or if you want a one-to-one demo, more than happy to organize this. But the sales and marketing teams will be in touch to take things further. Thank you again for your time. Thank you, Alexi, for your time as well. And have a nice day, guys. We'll be in touch soon. Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you.